Good evening. This is the Wednesday, March 2nd meeting of the Springfield Planning Board. Bill, would you read the roll call, please?
Mr. Cunningham?
You're muted.
Yeah, here.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Mr. Minio?
Here.
Mr. Daniele?
Here.
Ms. Moran?
Here.
Steve Filippo?
Here.
Orion?
Here.
Ms. McQuaid?
Here.
And Ms. Choi, looks like she's absent, but we do have a quorum.
Okay.
I'm just quickly, Gloria, I'm just going to run through the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Those folks that are new and for anybody who may be watching, due to the Zoom requirements of these meetings, the planning board is holding meetings in a two-part process. For all new items tonight, they will be heard by the planning board. The petitioners will be allowed to present. The board will ask questions. However, the item will not be voted on. It will be continued until the next meeting. This meeting will then be shown on Focus Springfield tomorrow. And then any interested parties are then able to watch the meeting. And if they desire to do so, they can then submit comments either through voicemail or email, and any comments received at the following meeting will then be read into the record. And then the item will be voted on. So new items will not be voted on tonight. We do have a couple of tabled items that should be voted on tonight. So on that note, I think I did send out some minutes, Gloria.
Yes. Have members of the board been able to review the minutes of December 15th, 2021?
Yep.
Yeah. If there are no revisions, I will accept a motion to accept.
Move to accept the minutes.
Second.
So voting to approve the minutes, Mr. Cunningham? Yes, I see him. Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mr. Daniele?
Yes.
Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Ms. Filippo?
Yes.
Mr. Florian?
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid?
Yes.
Okay, so under the first item, under public hearings continued, a liquor license for an all alcoholic liquor license new, location 357 Cottage Street, petitioner Lou's Cruz, doing business as Kay's Cakes and Banquet Hall. Just for the board's information, I think Peter Signator is jumping on the meeting in a few minutes, but I don't see him here tonight. He did send me an email this afternoon that the License Commission has approved this at their hearing. I think they held either a couple days ago. With the only restriction, they did approve it with a restriction of midnight. So I just wanted to let the board know that. Other than that, I haven't received any additional comments either for or against.
Well, my question would be, and we've spoken about this before, how does the liquor license approve this when the planning board hasn't had their final vote?
Well, I did have a conversation with Alicia Days, who's the attorney for the License Commission. The main concern that she was moving forward was the length of time, these meetings have been taken for folks to get liquor licenses. I did indicate to her, if the License Commission votes and the planning board has different recommendations, how does that work? She was gonna look into that. I said, a lot of times the planning board may recommend, a midnight closing versus a 2 a.m. closing. And if the License Commission has already approved at 2 a.m., it's kind of a moot point for the planning board. But she did indicate that they would look into putting a condition on that if there were significant alterations the planning board have or different recommendations, they would take that into account. Hopefully this whole kind of thing becomes moot once we go back to face-to-face meetings, because then the planning board would meet before the License Commission. It wouldn't take, right now it goes to planning license. So it is an extended process. So we are going to continue those discussions. Hopefully this won't happen very often. But she did indicate that they were getting calls from folks about the process, because at the end of the day, once they get approved by the license commission, they still need to go to the Boston and go through that approval. So it can take quite a long time. So I'm doing my best to try and get that clarification, but that's what I got now.
Well, personally, I don't find that acceptable, and I don't know about anybody else, but then what's the point of even hearing them in the planning?
Well, again, I made that point to Attorney Days, and I specifically spoke to, how do we handle that? And she was gonna look into that and get back to me about whether or not if the planning board had a significant, recommendation that differed from their approval, whether they would then have to go back to the license commission. So she was gonna look into that and get back to me. That's the best I've got right now.
Well, she only has to do that if they just waited.
I don't, but, and again, as the threat of COVID reduces, we may be back to face-to-face sessions in a couple months. I do think the state guidelines end in, I think, April. So I'm hoping at some point we get back to face-to-face and this discussion kind of becomes moot and we just go back to our regular hearings. But until then, I'm doing our best to try and coordinate.
It's clearly not you, Phil.
Yeah, no, I know.
I think the issue should have been discussed beforehand, and some resolution to what happens if there's a contention, but we'll
I
let it
agree
go
with
for
you
now.
completely, Gloria.
How did they go ahead and put it on the agenda, knowing that it didn't come to us yet? I don't understand. Who made that decision?
Well, I don't control the agenda for the license commission. So at the end of the day, the planning board is only a recommending body. So ultimately it does fall under the purview of the license commission. But, and I think it's only this one that this has happened to, the Cottage Street. So again, I don't see a huge issue here because I think, the hours shouldn't be a major concern, but I understand that it could be in the future. So hopefully we're either done with Zoom or we figure out how we go forward with this.
Doesn't make us feel really needed. Why are we doing this then anyway?
Yeah, I get it.
Well, I agree with you, Rosemary, and I think in some respects we are a little bit of a advocate for our residents in Springfield and our neighborhoods, but to me, it was really only another week or two, but
Yeah,
it's not going to affect the Cottage Street. We didn't have major, and I don't want in any way anybody to think that what we're saying is because of Cottage Street and what they're proposing. It's not that. It's the change of protocol without appropriate notification by the city. And I'll leave it at that. Unless someone else would like to chime in, they're always welcome to.
Mr. Anthony, did you want to say something?
Yeah, if I may, just so Attorney Days did stipulate that if there were any findings by the board, by the planning board, that she would revisit the approval. So it's still pending your decision with respect to the board. It was, again, like Philip said, the process kind of went in a weird direction where we were put on the agenda before we were supposed to. And just to streamline the process, they approved it, but they said that pending today's meeting, if you guys found any, came with any findings, that they would revisit it and move forward from there. But if there were no findings today from you, that we would be okay.
Okay, and you did speak to the East Springfield Neighborhood Council, correct?
Yes, we had a Zoom call with them on Tuesday, and I did connect with Cottage Hill Church next door as well. I met with them and they gave me a tour of the facility, and we had a great meeting as well.
Okay, and what was the recommendation from East Springfield?
They approved.
Was there, other than one, did they say 12 o'clock?
No, well, we found that the planning board and the neighborhood council felt more comfortable with 1 o'clock, even though the alcohol was giving us till 1. I'm sorry, till midnight, even though the alcohol was giving us till 1. So we just, to make it simpler, we agree with the midnight because we don't plan to stay open that late anyway. So
Okay.
we're fine with the midnight.
All right. Phil, I don't remember. Did you read the petition?
Yeah, I believe I did.
Okay, so
There was
that,
a letter from the East Springfield Council in support of the Cottage Street thing too, correct?
Yeah. I
yes,
believe I
Yeah, okay.
thank
got
you
an
for
email.
reminding me, Jennifer. All right, so do any of the board members have any other questions? If not, I will recommend a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a recommendation to close the hearing.
Second.
Thank you.
Voting to close the hearing, Mr. Cunningham? So muted, but that's all right. I can see.
Yes, yes.
Anyhow,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes.
Ms. Moran,
Yes,
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes,
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
Yes,
The hearing's closed.
all right,
I would just remind who's ever making the motion that if you're gonna go with the 12, it just needs to be amended on what I had said.
right. Do I hear a motion regarding this petition?
I make a motion to approve with the following conditions. The hours of operation shall be no later than midnight. There shall be no banners, streamers, or other promotional materials located on the exterior of the building, with the exception of a grand opening. All signage shall be properly permitted through the building department.
Is there a second?
Second.
So voting to approve the liquor license for 357 Cottage Street, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes.
Ms. Moran,
Yes,
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes,
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
yes,
Motion's approved.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, just on the next couple of them, the next one is zone change 3227.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Again, zone change number 3227 for 914 Boston Road. I received an email again from the attorney that they're continuing to work with DPW on the plans. So he would prefer that those be completed and approved prior to asking the board to approve this zone change. So again, I would just make a motion to continue this item.
I'll make the motion to continue the item.
A second.
So voting to continue zone change number 3227, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes.
Ms. Moran,
yes,
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes,
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
yes,
Okay, motion that will be continued until the 16th. And again, the subdivision plan for Veterans Way, they're again continuing to work with DPW to try and hash out some of the drainage issues they appear to be having at this particular development. So I have received nothing in the form of any approval from DPW. So again, I would just ask the board to continue this item until the 16th.
I move to continue the item.
Second.
Second.
So voting to continue the subdivision for Veterans Way, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes.
Ms. Moran,
Yes,
Ms. DiFilippo,
yes,
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
yes,
So again, that will be continued into the 16th. Under the next agenda item for public hearings new, we have an all alcoholic liquor license for 1380 Boston Road. The petitioner Karen Asian BBQ LLC, doing business as Karen Asian BBQ.
The petitioner, please state their name and address and tell us a little bit about your proposal.
Sure. My name is Zhong Cheng, and I'm the business owner in Crazy Seafood, West Springfield as well. And we're looking to expand a new concept of Asian barbecue restaurant in 1380 Boston Road, Springfield. And the concept is pretty simple. We have a little Asian style cooking table, and we prepare on marinate on the meat, and upon customers order, we bring out the meat and grill it out right in front of customer and serve it right over there. So we're seeking for a full liquor license. We feel like this is necessary to be a full self dining restaurant.
And have you met before the Indian Orchard Citizens Council?
I haven't not yet, but I sent out all the requirement letters.
Okay. And you sent letters to the Indian Orchard Citizen Council?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, it's nice to see a different nationality food come to the Boston Road area.
Absolutely. I personally own the sushi restaurant as well, so I do all kind of cool cuisine, and we build nice restaurant as well.
Do board members have any questions?
So, quick question on, if everything goes through, when do you plan on opening?
Yeah, we're shooting on 4th July, and it's a turnkey restaurant, so I'm not expect to do a lot of work on the kitchen side. So I was making as is, and to upgrade, make sure bring on the code bring on the equipment up to the code on the kitchen side. Most of the remodeling is in the front, just do the table and the decor things. So it will be easier if we are not doing the kitchen. So that's the
Okay.
plan.
Thank you.
Did you say something about a place in West Springfield? You already have a restaurant?
Yes, I own the Crazy Seafood. We have a
Crazy Seafood, okay.
yeah,
So you've got the experience in running one and running a bar and
yeah, exactly. I own the
tip certified and all that.
I'm an experienced restaurant operator. I own the restaurant for 13 years, and yeah, pretty much own the full off now.
And you're thinking July opening?
It's a tight schedule, but that you always push yourself, right?
No, I was just wishing you'd open sooner.
Okay. All right. I'm hoping on that too, because my whole remodeling items stuck on the pole now, so it's like it's not on my hand to speed it up.
Oh, it looks very, very good. I would like to ask you to contact the Indian Orchard Citizens Council, make a phone call to them.
Absolutely.
So I know you said you sent them a letter, but it would be helpful. No one got back though, did they?
The question is the phone number I've been calling it. It's not like I did not call it, because I had the phone number calling multiple times. It's sending to Verizon, so no, it's like a phone call never gonna reach there. I think they have to update. Then I try one, and I got it from the liquor commissioner as well, and they sent me exactly the same phone number. Nobody answered.
All right.
I'll double check the number and see if I can send it by email tomorrow morning to see if I can send it to you. I know they have an email too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. Do any of the board members, any other questions? Well, if there are no other questions, I would accept a motion to continue this hearing.
I'll
Make a motion to continue the hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Luca.
So voting to continue liquor license for 1380 Boston Road, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes.
Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes,
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
Yes.
Okay, this will be continued until the 16th.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so under public hearings new, a site plan review, the address is 319 Parker Street for the construction of a new indoor self-storage facility. The petitioner, Safe Store Real Estate Company LLC. I think,
Okay, if that is your intro,
yeah, if you could just state your name and address, please.
Phil, yeah, absolutely. So my name is Paul Fleming and I'm with Fuss and O'Neill here in Springfield, joined tonight by Amy Bell, also an engineer from our office here in Springfield. And then we have Philip Argo, who represents Safe Store, the owner. So I think we're in a good position tonight to answer your questions about the project, talk to you about some of the detail that went into the planning, give you an update on some of the status of different groups that we've talked to. And I'm going to start right out of the gate here to put everybody at ease. We have a very nice letter that the Indian Orchard Committee sent to us after meeting with our team in early January. Sounds like they braved some pretty cold weather, went out, toured the site. And it's a very enthusiastic letter indicating support. So we do have their email, we do have their phone number, we do have names, and we do have their support. So we're happy to have that. With that said, and also we are very appreciative too, Mr. Dromey, of the comprehensive note that you gave to the board, citing a number of the facets of the project, how it is, it's a split zone parcel. I would argue very, very underutilized today. And I think that what you'll see in some of the presentation materials, we have a few slides. We'll do our best to be able to share screens. You'll be able to see, I think it's a terrific enhancement for that, near 2-acre parcel. So with that said, I'm going to ask Amy to, kind of talk through a couple slides, but we're obviously open for you to interrupt us at any point with questions.
okay. I'm just, before you do that, I just want to say, Mr. Chen, you do not have to stay on the Zoom if you don't want to, but if you do, you're more than welcome. Go ahead.
Great. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thank you. As Paul said, my name is Amy Bell. I am with Fuss and O'Neill. As soon as I find the share screen, I have a couple of slides for you guys.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, can everybody see my screen okay?
I'm okay.
Yep.
Great.
Good here, Amy.
So the site is located at 319 Parker Street. This is Parker Street here. This is Virgo. It's right at the intersection. As you can see, this is the existing site looking at an aerial. There's a massive amount of pavements. I believe this is a liquor store at the moment with some storage space and garages here. I'm not fully sure this is fully utilized at the moment. There's 2 existing curb cuts here and here. There is a very large retaining wall here along Parker Street. And then you have the railroad track going along the back of the building in the property. So now we have our proposed conditions. We are currently proposing to have an approximately 3,950 square foot 3-story building in about the same location as the existing building. The footprint is slightly bigger. So you can see here. We are maintaining the existing curb cuts off Verge Street. So the one here and one here. We have significantly reduced the impervious pavement by just having enough parking along the front here. There's an entrance here to the building and loading docks here for personnel to load and unload their pickup trucks or cars or anything like that, just to kind of make it easier to access the storage units. And then a drive access to get over into here to the ADA spots here, where this is the main entrance for the building. Several parking spots over here, another loading dock here, just for easier access for anybody that has larger items that need to be stored, and then an access drive here. Maintain the same. We are maintaining the existing wall that's located off of Parker Street. We will be replacing, or we are proposing to replace the fence that's along the top. So that will be a new fence. We have a dumpster pad we are proposing here. My understanding is it's just a single dumpster for just miscellaneous items that personnel using the storage facility will use to, cardboard boxes, any items they may not want anymore that's been in storage for a while will be utilized here. This dumpster pad will be fully enclosed. We are proposing to have brick walls along the sides, and there'll be a swing gate, chain link swing gate that's, I believe, covered in the front. And as you can see in this photo here, it will be heavily landscaped to help keep it visually away from the road and over here. And if anybody is familiar with the site, everybody knows that this retaining wall here is at least 5 or 6 feet tall. I know it's taller than I am, so it would be very difficult to see it from the road over here anyway.
I'd say it's even taller than that, Amy.
I think so.
Yeah, it's substantial. So as you're walking along Parker there, it really kind of feels and acts like the side of the building. There's really nothing to see there other than the side of that wall on Parker.
So as you can tell, we are reducing the impervious significant. We are reducing it by about 27,000 square feet, which brings the total open space to about 40% once the project is constructed. We do have some stormwater features. We do propose a stormwater basin here, and there's a smaller one over here. Generally, we're trying to keep everything sheet flow. We have met with the DPW. We've discussed their concerns, and we are still currently working with them to address their concerns. And there's going to be some minor changes to the plan, but it's nothing that's going to change any type of the layout situations. So the driveways will stay the same, the drive aisles will stay the same, the parking will stay the same.
Could I just interject a quick comment on that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So fortunately, we spoke with Mr. Minio, who's on this call. As we reviewed this with the DPW, we've offered some sketches in response to the comments that came out of that meeting that we had. I think the sketches just indicate that we are going to put a curb just around where the mouse is in the front of the building along Verge, and make sure that we don't have any sheet flow occurring. So those changes are really, we're hoping that we have a settled agreement there, and that we've been able to accommodate all the things that they were looking for. So I think that will, and then Amy had identified the amount of square footage that is now kind of converting from what was paved to now unpaved. So we're moving it in the right direction, 23,000 feet. Do the math on that. That's a half an acre. The site itself is about 2 acres. So that's a pretty substantial amount of, I don't want to sound self-serving, but by any description, that's a pretty good greening of that corner of the of this parcel.
Yeah, and on behalf of the DPW, they've been doing their due diligence. meeting with us ahead of the the meeting tonight, and we expect that they will satisfy any comments that we may have.
Thank you. Now, this is going to be 3 stories, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How many storage units, individual units? Did I miss that?
No, and I think we're starting to maybe, the next slide gives a little
Oh,
bit
okay.
of a presentation. Is that right, Amy?
The next slide is just kind of a
Right.
visual of the
Well, it
graphic
answers,
of,
it answers part of the question, and perhaps, Mr. Argo can expand a little bit upon, how, this operation functions. Philip, are you still on board there?
Yes, sorry, I was trying to find my unmute button.
Sure, sure.
Good evening, everyone. To answer the first question, there are, I'm trying to find the exact number. There are around 750 individual storage units, all accessed internally, of various sizes, anywhere from a 5 foot by 5 foot up to a 10 by 30, I believe. The building is, like I said, all of the units are accessed internally by the loading doors, as you can see on that view on the left there. It's secure. The customers have they'll use a keypad to get in. They can access their units 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there is a small office on the small leasing office on the right there that will operate. It'll usually have just one employee, and their office hours are usually 6:30 to 9:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30 on Saturday, and I think they're closed on Sundays. And like I said, there's they're just there to assist the renters with their storage units, take care of any issues that they have during the day.
And Philip, one of the things that struck me in a favorable way about this picture here is those second, and it's worth clarifying, right? The second and third floor that we see, those are actually more for display, right? The actual unit is accessed on the back. So
that's correct. That is it's just an architectural enhancement. It's just part of the style of our building. Those are false doors, if you will. So you won't see an open unit through that window.
Right, and you don't see just a flat surface of the side walls of the building too. So it's kind of a nice architectural complement.
Right. The building will have the first floor is primarily a stacked stone material. I don't know, Amy, if you have one of the other renderings, it may show that a little better on the daytime renderings. But like I said, the first floor around the perimeter is a stacked stone, and then the top 2 floors is mostly an ephes, a stucco type.
Amy, you want me to try to bring
material.
that up? I've got something here.
I've got it here. I'm just waiting for the, I believe I have it here. I'm just waiting for the PDF to open. It's being a little slow, so I apologize. although it might be quicker for you to get it open, Paul.
You
See.
just explain to us.
If you, yeah, well, I think as Philip had just explained, it has that nice kind of differential on the ground floor. Amy, I think you may need to stop sharing. Okay. And then I will do, as Amy said, ask if everybody can see. You're either seeing somebody's advertising Zoom or you're seeing the building.
We're seeing the building.
Good, okay. So I think, Philip, this is what you were just describing.
Yeah,
and-
I was,
Right,
yeah, as you, where your, where the hand is, where your cursor
Mouse.
is,
Yeah.
you can see the stack stone.
Mhm.
The office corner is a slightly different material. It's some, it may be some metal panels, I believe. What those are, the blue that you see and the gray, just to, to break that up and enhance that corner.
yeah.
And then, and you can also see some other windows further down in the middle of the building. Those are
Here.
again, it's an architectural treatment. It's just a false window. It's not a window into the interior of the structure.
So the way the siding material works here, plus the actual relief in the, I'll call it the facade, it gives a very nice look. It gives some architectural appeal. The roof line, I think, is constant, would you say, right? Although it looks a little bit, we're just seeing kind of changes in the horizontal plane there.
Yeah, it's a flat roof. There are some slight variations in the parapet wall. Going around on the office corner, the parapet is a little bit taller, and it just kind of breaks up. It's not just a straight roof line. Gives some variation in that height, and you can also see the insets in the building. So.
Mhm. And if I'm not mistaken, these were some of the materials that, like this specific picture, I think, is what you presented to the Indian Orchard committee.
It is.
Yeah.
And this is typical of all of Safe Store's facilities. All of the buildings are shaped a little bit differently to conform to the site. But they're all used the same, similar materials and colors.
And is there outside lighting on the building or poles in the parking lot?
It's all of the lighting is on the building, and Safe Store likes to keep their lighting to a minimum. It's all down facing, shielded, and it's primarily. There's that view. It's primarily at the entrances, and it's mostly for safety concerns, and it's not intended to provide a bright corner, a bright overly bright parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
believe the detail that we last presented to Mr. Dromey had a key, indicating that the type of the lighting and where. And Philip Argo, if you could confirm this with me, but we had two of these, one on either end. And we have two of these downlights. And then we have two that are more, I think there's one at the loading dock and then one at this entrance that are more, I'll call them utilitarian.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And
just to clarify one thing, Safe Store does not they do not operate the facilities themselves. They contract with a national operator, in this case, Extra Space Storage, to operate the facility, but they will retain ownership of the property.
All right. Do any of the board members have any questions?
Yes, I have a question, Rico. You said there isn't any employees here on a Sunday, it's closed, but is it open to the public, your customers on a Sunday?
It is, the building is accessible. The building and their storage units are accessible 24/7. So,
Okay.
you know, if they want to go take something over there, they can. And that, like I said, it's secure. They have a keypad to get in.
Okay, but should there be an employee there just in case something's going wrong? Or I don't know. That's what I would think you should have someone there on a Sunday just in case, you know?
Well, it's pretty typical operation for all the facilities. Most of the leasing is done primarily online. And like I said, there's usually just one person there during normal business hours, except for Sunday.
Okay.
To assist with any issues that they have. So, and I'm sure they have, a way to contact someone if there is, a significant problem, something that needs to be taken care of immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Any else?
Hi, it's Rosemary. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut somebody off?
No, go ahead, Rosemary.
Okay. Now this side that we're facing, that's the side that faces the houses, right? On the other side?
To the right, the houses are to the right of that picture. This is the end.
The houses would see this face here.
Okay, so they
this-
don't see so where we were just seeing the lighting and stuff, it's not facing the houses. I mean, I'm just concerned with it being a 3-story building, and the lighting and the signage. I know there was some comments about the signage. So my concern was, how is that going to affect the houses that are on the other side of the street? Not obviously the railroad tracks, but
Yeah, this is a little bit busy, but if you bear with me. So here's one of the detailed drawings, right? The homes that you just referred to are here at the bottom
Right.
of the page. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That nice picture we just saw a moment ago with the
Yeah.
face of the building. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all here, and it's facing out to the residents.
So that is facing out to the residents. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. That nighttime image that we saw, the shallower length of the rectangle, that's facing what I would say is the side of the property. And, and then that significant drop that's over here, going down to Parker. The railroad tracks, of course, are right behind the property here.
So how does that lighting affect those homeowners? And what about signage? I know there was some comments about the signage.
Yeah, we can, I did see the comments about the signage and the lighting of the signage. And we understand that, the signs will not be able to be lit. I think the comment said past 10 p.m. and before 6 a.m. and we can comply with that. We can put that signage on a timer. The interior of the office, the interior lights will not be on. There are some canopy lights underneath that light that sidewalk, and lights under the canopies at the loading entrances. Those will need to be on. And again, it's a safety.
But those are low.
issue.
Those aren't as big of an issue.
Yes. But the signage, we can, I can get with our sign contractor and make sure that those can be put on a timer, and any lighting can be turned off at night.
I just have one question, more for Phil. Now, this is about the fourth or fifth self-storage unit proposal that's come up in probably the last 6 months. Is there any requirements that we're getting oversaturated, or any regulations that could control it? I mean, it seems like there's going to be an awful lot of these storage places in Springfield. And
Yeah, I mean, I've got to defer to the self-storage guys. I mean, they're, to me, it's the same as CVS's or McDonald's. This is just considered an industrial or business use. There is no regulation that says that Springfield can only have 10 or 15 of them. It just,
yeah,
for some reason, these storage facilities now are popping up.
right.
So,
No, it looks nice, but it just seems like there's quite a few of them coming up lately.
and just a quick note on the signage. I was more concerned with the ground sign, but I do need to let the petitioner know, now that I'm looking at the signage, to have signage above the first floor of the building is going to trigger a special permit through the city council. So you may want to, I don't know how, that is going to trigger, you're not going to get permitted for those signs without a special permit from the city council, which is a process beyond the planning board. So it just hit me now as I see these on the elevations, that is a regulation for the city. I was less concerned about the lighting of the wall signs, because I do think these, understanding there are residences across the street, the residents are also zoned industrial A as well. So, this is an industrial area, although there are some residences there. But I do need to let the petitioner know that signage as proposed. So you may want to, if you're proposing to continue with that particular location, I can email you out the application, but that's another process to get those signs approved through the city council.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from the board? Well, hearing no other questions or concerns, do we have a motion to table this petition?
I'll make a motion to table this petition until our next meeting.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, voting to continue, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes,
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes,
Ms. Moran,
Yes,
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian,
yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
Yes.
All
Okay,
right, gentlemen
Continue
and
to-
ladies, thank you very much. We see
Thank you.
you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
you could just
Thank you very
stop
much.
sharing your screen for me, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
I will stop sharing as soon as I can find the right button here. So I apologize.
I think if you just leave the meeting,
Yeah, I
Paul,
think if you,
it'll close you out anyway.
Yeah, I've got a column of faces and I don't have,
I can actually end this. I think I can end the screen sharing too.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Stop sharing. You'll be all set. There you go.
There we go.
Very good. Sorry for that. All thumbs here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, quickly, folks, just before we get to the A&R plan, I just wanted to remind the board that I did send out the La Marquise Local Historic District plans to the board. Again, this is a project that I believe is receiving funds from the CPA committee, the Community Preservation Act Committee. And as a requirement of that money, they are required to create a local historic district. There's no requirement for the board to act on this. It's just as part of the process to create a local historic district, the plan has to be submitted to the board. So you're certainly more than welcome to review that. If you have any questions, either now or at a later date, I can certainly try and answer those, but it's pretty straightforward as far as, so I don't need any action on that. There was one thing that I did not have on the board, but I have been asked by Tim Sheehan to petition I'm just going to bring up the plan real quick.
While you do that, Phil, I have to laugh because when Martin said that, all I was thinking was between liquor licenses and storage units, I think it's the only thing that's keeping us in a job.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree, but unfortunately, I don't. I said there's no requirement that says you can't.
It's also funny that Hamden, somebody wanted to put the storage units in Hamden, and the people went crazy and they voted it down.
They shut it down.
Well,
they should-
but I would just caution the board that, that it's to deny a site plan review, you've got to have pretty specific reasons as why you're doing that. And I don't think that there's really reasons to sorry, I'm getting my meeting is getting screwed up here. So so I would caution the board on oh, there we go. Sorry. On denying a site plan review. Again, I don't know what the reason is for why these are suddenly popping up all over the place, but
It's not just here, it's all over the country, because I
don't get it.
Try to get a storage unit.
Yeah.
Can't get one.
Maybe we own too much stuff.
And there's lots of people selling their homes and moving in with like in-laws and to save money because the market's so crazy, and there's a lot of it's impossible, and they've raised all their rates too because they can. So
Can you guys see that screen?
yes.
Oh, okay. So this was the urban renewal plan that was brought to you guys a couple weeks ago. In reviewing the urban renewal plan, where that yellow circle is, you'll see there's a number of parcels that are in red. Those are all zoned business B. The darker red is business C. When the urban renewal was originally created, these parcels that were zoned business B were supposed to be rezoned to business C, which is to match the majority of the downtown. So again, as they're reviewing the urban renewal plan, they're finding there's some discrepancies with what was originally proposed to be done and what actually happened. So Tim Sheehan has requested to me to have the planning board petition to rezone those properties to business C. It's almost an advantage to the owners because business C, the parking requirements for retail uses are waived under business C. So anybody who was open, like the guy on the corner on Union Street and State Street, or excuse me, Union and Main, when that was torn down by the tornado, they rebuilt it. He had to come in for a variance because it was becoming a restaurant. He had no off-street parking. If he had been zoned business C, he wouldn't have needed that variance. So again, the petition is simply just to start the process. Everybody within whose property is being proposed to be rezoned will be notified, as well as everybody with 300 feet, and it will require a public hearing before the planning board and the city council. But I do need a vote from the board to allow me to move forward with the petition to get that process started, and then we'll have the public hearing probably. I think we're shooting for April 1st, but we'll see.
Well, I have a question. When you're going from business B to business C, are there any uses that they lose?
Well, there are some businesses, the main reason for the rezoning of business B is business B opens the door for used car lots, auto repair, a number of kind of uses, drive-throughs that you don't necessarily want in downtown. The thing to remember though is anybody who happened to, and I don't believe there's any of those uses in this particular area. I don't think there's any used car lots. This is a big parking lot. There's a number of other parking lots and Park Street Lofts, which is the building that was going to be a hotel. Is kind of they're in the process of demolishing that. So I don't think it's going to necessarily affect any of the businesses, but it's important to note that if you happen to have been a used car lot that's in business B that gets rezoned to business C, you can continue that use. You don't have to suddenly stop because it's rezoned. it can stay that use forever. It can't change to another use and then go back to a car lot, but it doesn't, because you rezone, it doesn't mean that the use that there that doesn't happen to fall under business C would have to stop. It can continue, but there are uses. If you were someone who wanted to come in and do a used car lot, you would not be able to do that under business C.
And what if there's a property owner that says, no, they don't want to do that?
Well, then they absolutely have the opportunity to show up at the planning board and say, no, I do not want my property rezoned. It's then up to the board to make a recommendation of whether that gets part of the approved zone change or not. But
Okay.
they certainly will be notified. Everybody under this zone change, all the property owners will be notified, and they will absolutely have the opportunity to show up and argue that they don't want it if that's the case.
Phil, how far is that going? What is that bar line going to?
Well,
What
this
street
is
that?
Union Street,
Okay,
and this
so
is,
how does that affect people like Steve and Liz who live in that area? You know, the private residences.
it doesn't. Business C allows residential uses. Business C allows most of the retail uses that are down there. So restaurants, hotels.
Well, there's a lot of attorneys and that type of.
Yeah, so
offices.
office uses, that's why I don't think there's anything in this area that's going to be adversely affected by a zone change to business C. They're, in my opinion, they're actually getting a benefit by now, because for instance, the hotel that was going to go at 24 Park Street, they were going to need a variance because their zone business B and they have no off-street parking. Under business C, they no longer need a variance. They still need to show where people are going to park, but they don't need to go through that extra process of getting a variance from the Board of Appeals because they have zero off-street parking. They now are under the business C, and the reason for no off-street parking requirements is I believe business C is mainly buildings. You don't have a lot of parking that where you find in 16 acres in East Forest Park and out there where you have a building and a parking lot. You don't have a lot of that with downtown, and downtown shares a lot of the parking garages, so you have public parking. So I mean, to me, I think it is a benefit to the people under this zoning ordinance, but there certainly may be an owner who doesn't want it.
And I don't think there would be a problem with what's there.
Yeah,
So
I don't think so either.
So what's it that there's a dark red at the other end of that little box there, way at the top?
Well,
What is that?
That's actually another property that they were going to throw in. Here's Union Station. Across the street, I think it's just a couple of office buildings. But that was a property that also had been identified to be rezoned. So I believe they're going to want to include this too. It was originally.
Is that the physical therapy office?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of offices in these two business buildings. There's also up along here, I think there's a bar. So there's kind of offices here and the physical therapy, and then I think there's a couple of the bars up here and little restaurants up across from the old registry of motor vehicles. So that would be one of the properties that would be included. And again, owners of that particular property would be notified. So
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I would make the motion to approve the zone change.
just to clarify, to approve the petition to move forward.
For a zone change.
Right.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, so voting and to approve the petition to move forward with the proposed zone change, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes,
Ms. Moran,
yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
and Ms. McQuaid.
Yes.
Okay, and then quickly, I just have one A&R plan that I just need to bring up here 1 second here. Closed it by mistake. And speaking of self-storage, this is the A&R plan for the self-storage building we just approved on Boston Road. This is an existing car lot here. I think the kitchen, Curio Kitchen is here. So there's a number of parcels here that they're combining into one large parcel to construct that recently approved indoor self-storage building. So
Move to approve.
Second.
just all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's it for tonight. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Fine.
Got a motion to,
Have a good evening. Oh, we need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
thank you.
Aye.